Please, Mr. Camuffo.
Hello. Hi. I am sorry, I don't know, after this speech, maybe it's better if I sing a song and then I go home. I am sorry, I read my presentation because when I speak about this question, I speak in my dialect in Venetian. This presentation in English is really hard. So, thanks for inviting me. When Richard asked me to participate in this conference, because I thought he was joking, I replied I could talk about what design can do for Venice. When I realized that he was serious, I started reflecting on the topic. The title of the conference is interesting in the sense that invite you or force you to talk about things that you most care about. And to me, my city, Venice, is very important. I have been living in Venice for almost my life. I lived only 6 months in Treviso, a city very close to Venice. And I worked there. So what started as a joke turned into a decision. I'm talking about Venice because my city is going through a period that seemed to be particularly difficult. And it seemed that Venice exasperates some problem and issue of contemporary city. So what design can do for them? Venice is the place where I was grown. Venice has been my school in one way, and it made me feel rich. Venice is the place when I started working. Actually, when I was younger, design was not really a profession for the Venetian people. Before I became a graphic designer, I worked as figurant in the theater. I took photographs of tourists at the restaurants. And then I have the money. I was even a buttadentro. This is how we call people who push tourists into restaurants and shops. And I sold Venetian in Piazza San Marco, like my grandfather. As you can understand, what is that? I forget.
Oh, threw it at the bank.
Yeah.
Nice name.
Yeah, esatto. How do you say in English? Yeah. This is Venice. As you can understand, all this job brought me close to the people. Of course, one of the quality of Venice is that you have meet people. There is no car, and you have to get people out of your house to walk and meet people again. Also, sooner or later, everybody come to Venice. This is a real privilege. This is why Venice is my school. As Massimo Vignelli once told me when I started my career, he said, Giorgio, you don't need to go to New York or London to work because sooner or later, everybody comes to Venice. And that is true. Somehow, the world came to Venice. But Venice is a beautiful, and the richness is also a city that has many problems, more than other cities. Some number. Venice is a city in which 435 people are born per year, nothing. And then 835 people die, almost the double. That is really, really true. In a few years, residents fell from 150,000 to 60,000, maybe 20 or 30 years. And that is a real problem, there is an invasion of 80,000 tourists. Every day, which means about 23 million tourists every year, and prospect talk about 23 million in the next year. That is, we are waiting for the Chinese people, I don't know what's happened. Venice is a city where there are officially 26,000 beds for tourists in hotels and bed and breakfast. But in the reality, there are 50,000 beds. It's a city where to buy a house costs from 5,000 to 20,000 euro per square meter, and where to rent a room for students costs 500 euro per month. That is true. Venice is also a city that thrives in contradiction and deception. 70% of glass sold in the shop is produced in China. instead in Murano. 30 minutes gondola ride cost $100. Going to the toilet cost, I think, €200, but sometimes more. Evaporato fare costs 6.5 euros for tourists. Drinking a coffee sitting in San Marco Square costs 10 euros. Maybe if you eat a sandwich, I don't know what's happened. Le Corbusier once said that Venice was a lesson for humankind of the future, that it was a city on human scale. But today, looking around, it's hard to believe so. Venice doesn't seem sustainable. In the morning, from my terrace, I can see the flow of people going in the same direction to San Marco Square. In the afternoon, the flow, the same people, reverse toward the station toward the train station and the bus terminal. Most tourists go to Piazza San Marco to visit Palazzo Ducale. 6 million entry per year, 6 million. But they don't see much else. In Piazza San Marco, there is a gallery, an art gallery, Galleria Bevilacqua La Masa, a contemporary gallery, very good quality, has been 50 visitors per day. The masked dance once were seen only the carnival time, are now everywhere in every season. In August, when you die from the heat, it's not difficult to meet some stupid guy who was around wearing mask and mantle. That is very bad for us. In an article in the Times a few years ago, John Kay claimed, not just in a provocative way, that Venice doesn't need a mayor, but needs a CEO, like the theme parks, because, he wrote, Venice is an artificial as Disneyland. Look at. Well, sometimes one gets the impression that it's right. One day, and this is true, it's in my magazine, one day in Piazza San Marco, a visitor asked a policeman at what time Venice closed. Meanwhile, that is a good question for you. Meanwhile, the city is more and more sought after as a set and stage for everybody, for events, by the big name of international economy for fashion to iron. See, for example, the wedding of the daughter of an Indian tycoon 2 weeks ago, when a temporary building, high 10 meters, was built with Murano chandelier and fresco. The question is, what design can do if an Indian rich guy can spend 28 million euros just for a wedding? What we can do, that is true, he spent 28 million euros just for a wedding, 1 week. Sometime behind the mask of culture, these names are turning Venice into a brand. In a few days, when the Biennale opens, next Sunday, in Venice, there will be the pandemonium. Most of you come to see the Biennale. Show and events everywhere, from basement to palaces. The whole town is booked. Hotels and restaurants raise their price, which are already very high. Boats are full of people. Pinot, Arnaud, Abramovich, and all the tycoon arrive with their big yachts. The fact is, after these big events, very little remains. As you can understand, that is another news. As you can understand, this is a process of branding that is facilitated by the municipality of Venice. A few years ago, the municipality launched a competition for a brand of the city. It was a commercial initiative. The goal was to brand a series of products and sell them as a truly Venetian or inspired by Venice. None of the projects was approved by the judging committee. So one of the commissioners, Philip Stark, offered to do it himself. And here you can see the result. Today it is used very little. So, is this what design can do for Venice? And I start here my story. When I work at Fabrica with Oliviero, the research center for Benetton Group, I rent a small house in Venice that was used to host the teacher invited for the workshops. For years, every visitor left a dedication on the wall, one of those stupid things that even designers do. Almost everyone wrote, "Thank you, Giorgio," or "Grazie," or "Beautiful," blah, blah, blah. One time, because of restoration of work in my hometown, in my own house, I had to sleep for a period in that little house, and I noticed that there was a large inscription on the wall opposite the bed, which said, "Venice is not sinking." Every morning, when I woke up, I read these sentences. "Venice is not sinking." I was at a time when I had many interesting commissions in Venice and Italy, and I had also initiated an international magazine dedicated to graphic design, Sugo. So I felt some kind of remorse. Why? I work for a big world, and I don't do nothing for the people who live close to my door. This is why. As I said, Venice has given me so much. I believe that everyone has duty to give back something. We all have a duty. We all have a duty towards the community to which we belong. Of course, everyone carries out this duty as he or she can. I'm not an economist, nor a professional politician. I'm a graphic designer, and my tools are those of graphics, publishing, visual communication. So, inspired by the sentences I read in the world, I had the idea of making a magazine totally dedicated to Venice, and to name it just like that, Venice is not sinking. Abbreviated, it is VINCE. I thought that through it, I could give voice to the city. I could interpret and show what's happening around me, the many stories, problem, idea of the people I met every day when I leave the house, to give them a platform to talk to each other and to be heard, to give voice to another Venice. In this sense, Vince is a political magazine. As the subtitle reads, it's a magazine of civic resistance. I want to build a magazine that was able to talk to all, young and old, gondoliers and managers. The audience is the Venetian men or women, of those people who live and study in the city daily. Sometimes I say it's a magazine that never crossed the bridge, in the sense that it stays in the center of Venice. We don't sell a copy outside Venice. We sell the magazine only in the town. Vince is founded by my office, and with the money we can collect through some ads. The pages are printed in black, so it is so cheaper. We don't do big numbers, only 2,000, sorry. Only 2,000 copy, but it's enough for the city. Everything is prepared in my studio and with my collaborators. The magazine is mostly drawn by hand. Even the ads are designed by hand. Finally, we also organize events to present each issue. Something like this, with a lot of people. Every time in a different place. We produce short promotional video, and we take care of communication and even distribution to newsstands. Usually, issues are not monographed on a single topic. An interval of publication is not fixed. We do it when we have money, in one way. If I have a big job, I can do a number of the magazine. Of course, beside the editorial staff, we involve citizens themselves, asking them to write, of making interview, portraits. We try to leave space to anyone, young and old, men and women, professional and students. Much is based on the idea and the passion of those who know and love Venice, and who wanted to tell story and discussion problem. In the end, reading the magazine, I'm sorry it's only Italian, let you have the finger of the pulse. Yeah. On one hand, there are problems and complaints. On the other, there are people and many beautiful things they do. For example, tourists. It's not a surprise. Tourism is a topic that comes up in a set, it is an asset as well as a critical problem. For example, this is hard to explain in English, but for example, this page shows how tourists impact of the city in a day and a year in terms of weight, waste, sweat, excrement. Look, I can't translate the other one. What means a lot of tourists in a city like this? On the topic of tourism, a Dutch filmmaker, Ries Travers, then a student at Fabrica, realized a funny video that we used during the presentation of the magazine. Connected to tourism, we have the problem of the big ships that reach Venice. Every day, many cruise ships filled with cars of people obscure the landscape, make buildings shake, and impact on the marine life, a big contribution to the pollution of the city. The big ship. Another problem is the last one. As you know, water is another problem, and to solve it, it was decided to do an intervention that cost very much. But it's very debate if it will work or not. And again, we also prepare another video presentation. It's a good solution for all our eye problems. Water problem. These also deal with the small problem of everyday life. Public boats that no longer exist, finding a house or an apartment, a grocery store that closes, a gym that is evicted. But as I mentioned, being help us to bring to light many positive and curious stories, which are those of people who live and do something in Venice and for its community. This is a story about Venice. This is Gianfranco Vianello, called Crea. He's the winner of the historical regatta. He won 40 times. He's a Re del Remo. And he's also one of the few carpenters able to make a real gondola. This guy is Furio, is a singer and leader of a band called Pittura Fresca, wet painting, that was quite well known in Venice and Italy because a song, Oi andiamo a vedere Pink Floyd, they wrote that was very critical of the famous Pink Floyd concert in front of San Marco Square. You can see that in the right was happened with the concerto. And then, this is a funny story, and then this is Maurizio, who is famous in Venetian theater, where he plays the true story of an old Venetian profession. In one way, is a design profession. It's called the Merdaser, who was just a man. Was just a man who went around with a big coat, and gentlemen could pay a fee just to be offered hospitality under his coat as a temporary restroom. I don't know if I can translate Merdaser in English, but you understand what it means. Maurizio is also the author of a medical dictionary in Venetian language. Then, other story. These two guys are the owner of very old and typical restaurants in Venice, Renzo della Vedova and Maurizio del Paradiso Perduto. They are not only people who sell food, but they are, in one way, they are collectors of different aspects of our culture. And look at Maurizio goes sometimes to cook in the boat in the lagoon. He's a very smart guy. These are people of the Giudecca. A district is quite far off the routes of tourists. Giudecca is also where I moved my studio, Science, 2 years. So we decided to dedicate some page to some Giudecchini to celebrate them in their place of work. Another story is that of Casa dell'Ospitalità. Venice is a small town, but it's rich of a story like this, very, very romantic, very poetic, very full of energy. A sort of hospice, a self-governing community of homeless people with many different stories behind them. Former soldiers, poets, artists, masons, immigrants share their daily lives in a house of the lagoon and seek a new future together. Vince occasionally hosts some frank people, such as Bruce Sterling, who indicate some possible future for Venice, or Alejandro Jodorowsky, who dreams to make 200 parrots sing in Piazza San Marco. Crazy story, pointless if you want, but these are stories that help a visionary look on Venice that needs it. Vince mimic other magazine, so it has columns as such, horoscope, quiz, statistic, letter column, and of course they are completely make up. Sometimes are completely fake. Vince also leads to some side project. It became a platform for other initiatives. For example, we organized an exhibition entitled in San Marco Square, in the Galleria Bevilacqua La Masa, where 15 people go. For example, then we managed to have a partnership of Fabrica to produce a small books and CD entitled, again, this time in Italian, Venezia non sta affondando, Venice is not sinking, where some young artists and designers express their view on Venice through writing and video making. And finally, this is a project I am very proud. And finally, there is a side project of which I am very proud. It's called Se io fossi sindaco, if I were the mayor. 1 year ago in Venice, municipality elections were held. So in a moment when people felt the city was facing many problems, this election catalyzed many feelings and hopes. The idea was, once again, to give voice to people. Even in this case, the project began almost by accident. I was walking in Venice. I met a journalist, a friend of mine. We went to drink a spritz. You know what is spritz? Started talking about the city and had the idea of the book. In the end, we decided to ask 100 Venetian people to draft their political agenda in 10 points, what they would do if they were elected mayor. There was a big participation. Professionals, doctors, students, artisans, politicians, teachers, artists, housewives made their contribution. In total, we collect 1,000 proposals and ideas, from the ironic to the most serious. On the cover, we put Chewbacca from Star Wars, because one of the respondents said that if he was the mayor, he would choose Chewbacca as counselor for culture. Because we have a really bad counselor for culture at this moment in Venice. I don't know if we have one. But other proposals are very serious and very detailed. We also created a blog, we made a video interview with a real candidate and published them online. In the end, there was a good time. In the end, we organized a big party in a beautiful building in the Ateneo Veneto, just in front of the Fenice, during which we delivered to the candidate a copy of the book with an invitation to reflect on problems raised on it. Now, my conclusion. Now, going back to the theme of the conference, what design can do. Vado veloce. Did anything change in Venice thanks to my project? To be honest, no. Probably not much has changed. in terms of fact. However, I believe that the real value of my project is not in the end products, but in their ability to see that there is a need, in their ability to involve people, to motivate them, to facilitate them to think and to express their thought and their opinion. Finally, to help them to participate as citizens. So, if I were to give a message, is that we designers should do what everybody, not only the designer, has to do in life. That is to look to the world around us. It can be banal, but because they are part of the world, designers take part in this transformation, for better or worse. Then the real question is, can design change the world for better? The only answer I can give is that I hope it is possible. I think that every design should aspire to do this. So it is with this hope, while I was preparing this presentation, I had the idea for the next intervention on beings in Venice. As I mentioned, nothing much has changed in the city. We have a new mayor, but many problems remain unresolved. And talking with people, you realize that people also feel a sense of absence. They feel that the mayor is absent. So my idea is the poster. Have you seen the mayor? That is all. The story goes on. Venice goes on. Thank you.